Sakafet YouTube, and let us make some tasty donuts. So guys, just a quick ingredients breakdown. We have our sugar, our yeast, some warm milk. I have my plain flour over here, some eggs, some vanilla extract, some cinnamon powder, salt, and over here we have some room temperature butter. Okay, let's go ahead and start this gorgeous donut recipe. So I'm adding my flour to a clean bowl. Okay, the ingredient list will be down below in the description box for exact measurements, followed by my sugar, my yeast, cinnamon powder. This is optional, salt, and then just give this a little whisk, okay? Gorgeous. Now I'm going to be adding in my milk gradually, and my milk is room temperature milk. So at this point, my whisk wasn't cutting it, so I went in with my hand mixer, and I'm using the dough hook to make this, okay? I'm also adding in my eggs gradually. You want to add about 1 or 2 of them at a time, just so that it will incorporate beautifully into our flour, okay? This is how it's looking after about 5 minutes of mixing. Guys, this is not for the weak, okay? My arms were breaking. If you have a stand mixer or if you want to do this by hand, it's entirely up to you. But listen, it does take a little while to come together. I'm using a small spatula just to incorporate any flour that's underneath, because you don't want anything to be left behind. And now I'm just going in with my room temperature butter and incorporating that into my dough. After about 8 minutes in total, this is how my dough is looking. It's nicely combined, and if you look, you will see that it's not too sticky and it's not too firm, and this is what I like, okay? See this? Nice and stretchy. You see that? Looking absolutely amazing. See this? I'm putting it back into that same bowl. Look at that, guys. Cover it with some clear up, as you need to allow that to proof nicely. I'm also gonna go in with a clean tea towel, and I'm gonna put it in a nice warm place for about 45 minutes to an hour, okay? I did store my dough into my oven because it was nice and warm, and I'm just removing it from the oven. Guys, the oven is the best place to proof your bread or your dough. So gorgeous. This is how it's looking after about 45 minutes in the oven, and I'm just punching it to get out any air in there. Guys, so beautiful. So I'm just flouring the surface lightly, and I am just going to work on my dough. Guys, you just want to work a little bit of flour into that dough because it's really sticky and really soft. Not too much, nothing more than about a tablespoon or 2 of flour, so that you can make the dough a little bit more manageable. At this point, I'm just placing my dough onto a small scale. As you can see, it's about 950, 960, and I'm just dividing that by 8 because this is how many donuts we're gonna get from this recipe. So I am just gonna be weighing small sections simply because I want them to remain the same shape, same size, everything. And I'm just weighing it at about 120 roughly. Doesn't have to be exact, but anything between 180 and 120 is okay. I also have a tray on my side, and I'm just going to be putting the dough on there after I've rolled it up into small dough balls. Make sure to line it with some baking paper, as that will prevent it from sticking. And yes, let's roll it into some nice dough balls. You can use a little bit more flour for this. Like I said, the dough is extremely sticky, so you want to just make sure it's easy to manage. These are my dough balls nicely rolled out. I am just going to rest it to one side and I'm going to cover it with a tea towel again. And this time I'm going to proof it for about 20 minutes or so, nothing too long. Meantime, I've got a small bowl. I'm going in with some sugar and some cinnamon and I'm just mixing that together. This is going to go on our donuts when it's all done. So now that my donuts are nicely proofed for the second time, I am just going to press them down gently on the top just to flatten it a little bit. And guys, a very important tip when you're doing this, make sure to space out the donuts at least a good 2-3 centimeters apart, because you don't want them to stick together when they've risen beautifully, okay? So just something for future reference if you're making this recipe. Just remember to space them out. So now I'm going in with a small cookie cutter and I'm just cutting out the center of my donuts, because hey, it wouldn't be donuts if it doesn't have the center cut out. Although I know there are the ones that are filled with jam and custard, but this is not the one we're making today, okay? At this point, we're going to remove that excess dough from the center. You can throw it away, but I will be frying it later on. These are going to be some nice little donut bites. But yes, guys, just take off the center and set it to one side and make sure the center is nice and clean anytime you take off the dough, because that way you will keep that nice ring shape in the middle of the donuts. So now it's time to fry. I've got my oil heating up on a low heat. Make sure your heat is not too high for this. Ensure that you have a nice hot oil for this as well. And you want to fry these donuts for about 2 to 3 minutes, turning on both sides till it's nice and golden brown. One thing I noticed with this recipe, guys, you cannot be distracted when doing this, because it's going to creep up on you just like plantains and it is going to get brown even quicker than you expected, okay? So after about a minute or two, you want to flip it over and make sure you don't let it burn. I nearly let mine burn. As you can see, it's extra golden, but hey, next time we are going to make sure we don't even wash our hands after we put it in, because girl, this nearly burnt black. I'm also using a small skewer just to remove it after it's nice and golden. And guys, look at how beautiful it came out. I probably wouldn't make it so brown, but let me know in the comments how you like yours. And this is it, my darlings, all done. My donuts, I dipped them in some sugar and cinnamon that we made earlier on. and they're looking so gorgeous. So I hope you enjoy the recipe. If you try it, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. This recipe was also inspired by Food Ace. I will leave the link down below for her video. Thank you so much for your amazing recipe as well. And guys, I'll see you again in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.